Hi, Miss Pasolka, back to talk about a very important question today. What do colleges want? You know what colleges want? They want for you not to ask that question. It's just not that quantifiable. So don't try to back engineer your college application and think, what does a Dartmouth student look like? And then try to form yourself to that imaginary person in your mind of what a Dartmouth student looks like. Let's imagine that you have a crush on somebody, or your friend has a crush on somebody. And your friend does some reconnaissance on their crush. And your friend finds out that the crush only dates brunettes and is really into bird watching and really likes classic country music. So, do you go out and dye your hair and buy a pair of binoculars and start listening to Kenny Rogers? No, you do not. And here's why. Number one, it's lame. Number two, it usually doesn't work. And number three, you're not going to recognize yourself at the end of it. You're going to wake up 3 years later and find yourself with a person who's compatible with the fake persona that you created and not the real you. And you're not going to be as happy with that person, as you would have been if you just stuck and been yourself and found your perfect match that way. It's the same for colleges. So don't try to back engineer your college applications and try not to think of your college essays as a resume or a job interview. The other half of the application is the resume, your scores, your grades, the classes you took, the activities you participated in. I want you to think of the essays as a good third date. You're past the small talk, you're still trying to make a good impression, but you're also making yourself more vulnerable. You're also hoping that the other person will really get to know you and hopefully fall in love with you. And you want to find out if the two of you are a good, compatible match. Now, this is a picture of my grandparents, Nick and Marie. Now, they were married for 65 years. 65, that's a long time. Nick didn't have much of an education. He quit school in the third grade. He was sometimes harsh. Sometimes Marie yelled at him. He was always kind of accumulating junk from the flea market on their porch. They both drank too much, but they loved each other deeply, flaws and all. And their children and grandchildren loved them and still love them intensely, even now that they're gone. And here's the thing that Nick and Marie can teach us about lasting love and college applications. Nobody falls in love with perfect. I'm going to say it again. Nobody falls in love with perfect. And I'm sure if you think of the people that you love and the people that love you, none of you are perfect. None of us are perfect. Okay? You don't want to fall in love with somebody who's a hot mess either, because that's its own set of problems. But that's a totally different set of videos. So what I want to focus on now is that colleges are not going to fall in love with you because you're perfect. And in fact, that can work against you. We all know people who try to present themselves as perfect. Maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's a peer, maybe it's a celebrity on social media. But we all know people who try to present themselves as if they never make a mistake, they never forget anything, they never smell bad. And when somebody tries to present themselves as perfect, most of the time it comes off as insincere. And how do you know that? You know that because you have thousands of interactions every year with people who are sincere. College admissions is the same way. Admissions officers are reading thousands of applications, one right after the other. They can tell an insincere one from a sincere one. So just be yourself. I know you've heard this since the third grade, but just be yourself. On a good day, okay? You don't want to show up in your dirty bathrobe with like your Cheetos fingers and you're nursing a cold and sniffling the whole way. You don't want to turn your essay into therapy and kind of chronicle every bizarre thought you've ever had or every time when you felt really discouraged. It's the third date, not the 15th date. But you don't want to airbrush yourself or filter yourself into perfection either. You don't want to try to imitate anyone or pretend that you're 40 and applying for some corporate job. Be your genuine 17-year-old self. So, To review, don't do this. Don't do this either. Don't do this. Just do this. And if Tyra doesn't inspire you, take a look at this little boy. Right there. Burn that into your brain. And remember that you have a little light. Maybe your light has been dimmed by the problems of the world, or by the problems of your family, or by the problems of growing up. But that's the great part about doing your college applications. You get to look backwards and see who you were and who you've become and who you hope to be. And you might just come out of it appreciating yourself and what you've been through. And you might just find that little light again and let it shine. And don't worry, I am not going to sing for you right now. On to the personal essay.